What's up, you guys? I'm here with this Friday energy and this turtleneck, which I'm loving. I'm living for. I'm feeling good. I hope that you're feeling great. I kind of feel like these bracelets are going to be annoying in this video, so I'm going to take them off right now. So my name is Tika. I am a New York-based flight attendant, and as of February 2020, your girl has been flying for 5 years. And actually, hold on, because these are my Alex and Ani bracelets, and I really always like to wear my Jesus bracelet. So even if I take the other ones off because I don't want to annoy y'all, still want to wear my Jesus bracelet. So let's get into the title of today's video. So the title of the video, which I haven't named it yet, but it's going to be something along the lines of flight attendants quitting. So you guys know I've been filming flight attendant life videos for many years, and a lot of people confide in me. Even if they don't know me, have never met me, aside from watching my videos, they confide in me. And I also have friends close to me who are in the process of putting in their 2 weeks. I got people that I know that just walked away, and I got people who've walked away, 6 months to a year ago. So as you know, I've brought you guys recent videos about flight attendant life, how to get the job, how to pass your video interview, so on and so forth. So as you are embarking on this new journey, as you're setting out to get your wings, I want you guys to also know the realities of flying, so that if you do get that CJO, you go to training and you start flying, you know what to really expect. So the first reason why people quit their jobs as flight attendants is because of the fatigue. Y'all, this is not your 7 to 2. This is not your 9 to 5, at least not in the beginning. And I say that because it does get better. I'll share a little bit more about how it's gotten better for me towards the end of the video. But I want you guys to realize that the reality is, when you are a new hire flight attendant, if you graduate with a line, or even if you don't graduate with a line, and that's a whole nother story when you don't graduate with a line because you're just sitting around on reserve, but you graduate, right? You're given a schedule. You go look at your rotation, aka your trip, meaning what you're flying. In over 3 days, you could literally fly 12 flights. That is insane, right? Crazy as HE double hockey sticks. Like, your first day is 4 legs, your second day is 4 legs, your third day is 4 legs. Now, that could be 4 flights that are back to back. So you could literally go LaGuardia, Boston, Boston, LaGuardia, LaGuardia, Boston, Boston, Miami, right? Okay, maybe that's not so bad because the Boston flights are like a little less than an hour. But that day could literally be 6 hours, or that day could be like 14 hours, so on and so forth. Then if you're not eating right, or you are on a crazy ass schedule as is, so you don't necessarily want to have breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you might want to eat around 10, but then you're flying. There's a lot encompassed in that, and I'm just gonna let you guys know that the fatigue is real. So people are tired, y'all. Let's call it what it is. They're tired of flying so many legs a day. They're tired because they're not getting rest, because your rest could be 10 hours, or your rest could be, 24 hours. It really varies. So people, like, your body has to adjust, especially if you're not a morning person. Like me, I'm a morning person. So even if I have a flight at night, because like the other day I did a red eye, I did a LA red eye, and honestly, it was not bad. Ask me, could I do red eyes all week? HE double hockey sticks. So when I did that red eye, I hadn't flown a couple of days before that, so it was really no problem, and the passengers were much milder, but it was a long flight. I mean, my whole day, I signed in for my trip at 3:55 p.m. and the flight left at 4:55, and I came back the next morning. I was released at 5:12 a.m. or something like that. So literally, I was working, if you will, like 14 hours. But I went from the East Coast to the West Coast, East Coast, like up and down. Like, it is tiring, but I am one to take my vitamins, B6, B12. I take a multivitamin. I take a lot of stuff to make sure that I keep my energy up. I don't drink coffee. You know, I have a lot of like lemon ice water. I have things set in place for me that I do after every flight. I have tea. I drink certain types of tea. So long story short, you have to really program yourself and be very disciplined in order to not feel the fatigue, because the reality is folks are out here flying back to back to back, just trying to stack hours and make money, that they are there physically but they are not there mentally. So the fatigue catches up and people are like, you know what, F this, like I can't do this anymore, I'm tired, I'm not getting any rest, I don't like my schedule, I'm out. So I also want to say that the 7 reasons are in no particular order, because if I had to do that, whew, honey, I would have to do a survey. So the second thing is that people are lonely, y'all. This job, this career, this profession can be very lonely if you let it. And I'm gonna talk more about that. So I was talking with my colleague the other day, actually when we were doing the red-eye flight, and she's a mom. She likes to do red eyes because she gets to spend the morning with her baby, and then she flies in the evening, and then she's home in the morning when he wakes up. She was super sweet. I meet a lot of beautiful people in this profession, and I'm really grateful for that. We definitely connected. And she was saying to me, she's like, you know, girl, because she's a little bit senior to me, and she was just talking about how she's losing her reserve days for the month of November. And I literally am about to lose my reserve days too, which is crazy because I'm about to hit 5 years, and my reserve is, God willing, gonna be gone in just a couple months. I might get them back for the summer, but nevertheless, like, yeah, so very grateful for that. She was like, you know, my last trip, I was flying with this girl, and she was asking me, like, could we hang out on the layover? Because she had actually did a 2-day. And my colleague was like, girl, I like to just go in my room, close my door, and FaceTime my family, like my husband and my baby. The other flight attendant who was talking to her was like, you know, I dread hotels. I literally try to go out and explore the moment that I get there and tire myself out so that when I get back to the room, I don't feel lonely. I could just take a shower and go to sleep. And I was like, wow, like that's real. Like, I was like, because the reality is you may have a crew that wants nothing to do with you. You may have a crew on your layover that does not want to hang out. And maybe you don't want to go explore alone, or maybe you don't have a boyfriend, you don't have a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a friend, a special friend, whatever. Maybe you don't have, you know, your family, and you are alone. The moment that you work those flights, your energy is very high. Like, you are vibrating here. You know, you're interacting with so many customers. You may be dealing with 200 to 300 customers per flight. Just depends on what aircraft you're flying on, or I should say you may be dealing with anywhere from, let's say, 50 to 300 customers per flight. So in the run of a day, you can literally encounter you know, almost 1,000 people or more or less, but you're vibrating here. You have to, good morning, good evening, may I get you something to drink, and this one needs help, or you may have an emergency, whatever it is, like, you are here. You have to bring your energy here. That's why flight attendants are always drinking coffee, and I can't understand the coffee craze just in general because I've never drank it, so I don't know what it does for you, but I know that people are like in need of it. They're like, I need to go to Starbucks, I need to go to Dunkin', like I need this to survive, to get through. If I ain't got my coffee, I'm not gonna be, you know, a happy camper on this flight. And again, I that's not my thing. It's never been my thing. But nevertheless, you're here. Then you get to your layover and you crumble. Or maybe you're going through life, you're going through things, and when you get to that room, it all hits you. It chokes you up. It slaps you in the face, and it's depressing. People are lonely. Granted, in other professions, people may travel for work, but if you're traveling for work, even the person who's on the plane traveling for business, they pull out the laptop. When they're in their hotel room, flight attendants, I mean, unless you just had an exciting flight or a flight that just pissed you off, you're not in your room working on that flight. So the person who travels for business is still catching up on business and working from their room. But as a flight attendant, like when you get to your room, if you don't have your food and you're not going out, you're ordering room service, you're eating alone. That can be very depressing over time. You're Netflixing and chilling alone. That can be depressing over time. I've been in hotels, which I don't really do layovers anymore. I can't remember the last time I laid over. It was probably LA. I really love LA. That's like, if I had to do layovers, I mean, obviously I have to do them. But I prefer to be on the West Coast. I just really love LA. Like, it's just very calming for me. And I get the best sleep on the West Coast, but that's neither here nor there. Reality is that people are lonely. Like, no matter where I am, I'm always connected to my fiance, whether we are texting or, you know, we get our FaceTime in. We just are very, very close. We're very connected. And I have a beautiful life outside of flying. So no matter what happens in the run of a day, I don't take that with me in the sense of like, it's not gonna make me or break me. You know, I may take some stories that people share with me home and I may pray for them because, you know, people will pour their issues on you, both crew members and passengers, and you have to be built up enough. You have to know who you are. And that is why I go by the name Fierceness, y'all, because at the end of the day, I'm strong. I have to be strong no matter what comes or what goes. So I do things behind the scenes to build myself up and to be the woman that I am. And along with that, I have a wonderful partner who does that for me as well. So when people don't have that, when you're missing those components, you can be very lonely, and loneliness leads to depression. And if you don't recognize it, like some flight attendants haven't, they haven't recognized it and dealt with it, and they've taken their lives. That's something that's not really discussed, but the flight attendant suicide rate, it's real. And it kind of just gets buried. It's not discussed, but mental health is very, very important no matter who you are, what your profession is. So that's just another thing to keep in mind, that this job can be very lonely, and the people who do recognize it, they realize that they can no longer do it and they need to separate themselves in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And you can't even knock them for that, because you have to take care of you. If you don't take care of you, then nobody will. The third reason that flight attendants quit their job is because the money can be a little funny, honey. So I will say now, especially because I just got a pay raise in October, and then my pay rate is going to change when I hit 5 years, and it's definitely much easier to make really great money. So I want to be very transparent so you guys can understand. I'm at almost 5 years, and when I reach 5 years, I will be making more money. I flew to LA and back the other day. That was one day for me. I was flight leader as well. I made almost $600, just shy of $600 for that flight. So that's one day that I flew and I made almost $600. If I were to fly 4 high time turns of that value, then in 1 week, I've made $2,400 pre-tax. So in 2 weeks, I can literally make $4,800 before taxes and probably bring home, who knows, I live in New York, I'm based in New York, they hit you over the head, okay, y'all? So I probably would bring home $4,000, a little less than that, maybe, I don't know, just saying. But I just want you guys to understand where I'm at, what I made, and that was just for like the hours and my time away. But then there's also like if I sell things on the plane and things like that, I can make more money. But I just want you guys to understand that. But that's at almost 5 years, okay? So when somebody's just starting, because literally okay. So people who quit, at least that I know of, they tend to be between that like 1 and like 5 year mark, because life changes. So it can be difficult, especially if like you're only being a flight attendant, like that is your main focus. You're just putting your heart, soul, everything into working these flights. you're overflying, right? So you're fatigued, you're lonely, and you're trying to make your money. That's really, really funny because you're a new hire and you're just not making the money that you want. Like, I came from a job where I made over $100,000. I definitely took a pay cut, but I do other things now. So not only am I like, you know, doing things through YouTube, but I also recently created my own store, which I'm selling travel inspired merchandise. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, my website is www.fierceonthefly.com. I will also leave a link down below. And I've trademarked my brand, which is jet lagged but still in my bag. So, like, you know, you're fatigued, you're jet lagged. Yes, you are jet lagged from flying, but you're still in your bag. You're still focused. You're still making your money. So that is my brand, jet lagged but still in my bag. Like, that's me. That's, you know, that's my reality. It's like, yeah, I'm tired, but I'm still getting to this money because we all need money to survive. So anyway, if you want to know more information or if you want to purchase merchandise, so on and so forth, I will have a link down below. But the reality is, people need to think outside the box as flight attendants. There's a lot of people who they nanny on the side, they walk for Rover, or they do sitting for Rover. There are people who are actually teaching education to children in other countries, like teaching English to them online. So people are looking for other outlets and other ways to make money. There's bartending. The list really goes on. If you guys want me to do a video specifically focused on other ways to make money not flying, I will do that, because I kind of got my hands in a little bit of everything. But you know, whatever you do, make sure that you're passionate about it and you give it your all. You guys just need to understand that the money is not going to be the best in the beginning. It does get better, but if that's the only thing that you're doing, then it's going to be hard. If people were to be like, on my layover, I can actually do XYZ on the internet and make money, life might be a little bit different. See, we always have the option of thinking positive thinking or negative thinking. We have the option to feel bad for ourselves or to motivate ourselves, and sometimes other people won't do it for you. So I try to inspire people, and you know, I'm only one person, but you have to have some tenacity, you have to have some oomph in you, you have to want to do more and make, you know, a good life for yourself. So, but maybe if they were to think outside the box, like I just said, they would stick around and see that there's other ways to make money. So the fourth reason why flight attendants are quitting their jobs is because passengers are rude. Y'all, I just feel like the nature of flying has changed so much. I don't know if it's that people, one, don't have manners in general, or two, if they left them at home and decided not to bring them with them on their trip. It's one of the two. And it's also how people are raising their kids. People are not teaching their kids to have manners. So when all of that comes on the plane, you've got rude passengers and their rude little kids that are with them. So, you know, whenever I am dealing with a child and they ask me for something, I say, sure, what's the magic word? But see, I was also a nanny before this, and I really, really love kids. I know how to interact with kids. I understand the mom who has a crying baby. I understand the parents who are overwhelmed. I understand all of that because I worked as a nanny, household manager. I worked for very high profile families. So I am used to dealing with the most entitled of the most entitled. However, I do know how to deal with them in a professional manner. And I also understand that some people have bad days. I also understand that every day is a bad day for people. So if that doesn't make any sense, let me break it down. You may have a bad day here and there, right? But there are also some people who every day they are just so negative and toxic. So as a flight attendant, you are in a metal tube, 30-something thousand feet in the air, and you're dealing with this energy. So it's a lot of energy, you know, it's a lot of craziness going on. You may have a crew member who is like a wacko, and that's that energy as well. You have to stay prayed up. You have to protect yourself from your head to your toe before you even leave the house. One thing that my baby does, and she's done since we've been together, she sages like no other. Y'all, it's like sage is everything to me. Palo Santo. If you guys are not familiar with those things, hit up your best friend Google, ask Siri, ask Alexa. I'm telling you, get familiar. Prayed up, protect yourself, listen to positive affirmations, listen to you some TD Jakes, read a book, fill yourself up so that when you do encounter these people, you keep it cute. You keep it real cute. You don't put it on mute because it does have to be addressed. People do need to understand that their behaviors and their actions are not acceptable. But like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. So you keep it really, really graceful and you don't let them see you sweat. I think that we cannot take things personal on board the aircraft. I always remind myself, y'all, I don't go to sleep with these people and I don't wake up to them. And I am so grateful for that. When I get back to that airport, I get on the employee bus, I go to my vehicle, I get in my vehicle, I drive home, I smell the fresh air, and I get to my neighborhood and it's quiet. I pull in my driveway, I appreciate my home. You know, I give what I want to receive, and even if I don't receive it right away, I will ultimately receive it. So it's all about your perception and your mindset as well. But when you're dealing with 4 flights back to back as a new hire, and you got 4 flights of rude folks, it could be a lot. And you could say, I am done with this SHIT. I can't do this. Could do it, but I'm not going to. I'm over it. I'm out. Hello, hey manager, I'm sending you my whatever the process is to resign. You're done. Or maybe there are folks out there who just don't come back. I mean, it does happen, but again, just like it starts in the home with parents raising their kids to be good little people, great little people, it starts in the home with filling your spirit and just filling yourself with goodness. The other thing that I want to say is that when you're not leaving from home and going to work, that can be hard. When you're leaving from home and commuting into work, taking a flight just to get to your base, that can be very difficult on you. I have no experience with that, and if I had to be a commuter, I would not be a flight attendant. So I think that says enough. The other thing is when you're leaving from a crash pad to work, I think that's also very difficult. It's not your home. It could be very quiet and peaceful and lovely. It's still not your home. It's not that sanctuary. It's really not the safe place because you're living out of a suitcase. Not knocking anyone who does it. I personally just could not do it. I know myself, and that's not something that I could do. I do know, however, of people who once commuted and they eventually made New York City their home. So they got an apartment, they moved out of a crash pad, and life got better. So there's people who have been on the verge of quitting, and then they found a way to make it work, and they went to the drawing board and said, okay, this is what I need to do. Actually, my crew member that I flew to LA with, who was telling me about her old crew member who was lonely, she used to be based in Atlanta, used to live in Atlanta, and then her and her husband decided to move to New York. New York was a better base for her, seniority-wise, and for so many other reasons, because Lord knows if you stay based in Atlanta, then that's a whole nother video, y'all. You can't get me to be based in Atlanta. Negative, no, 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 no. I do, however, like to fly into Atlanta. I love the food. I love the Southern hospitality. You know, I was born in North Carolina. I love that, but nah, I'm good. So, number 5, the reason flight attendants are quitting is because the job is simply not what they expected. I've told you guys several times, the only glamour of being a flight attendant is the glamour that you create. I am all about the brand. Whatever company that you work for, you represent that brand, and you represent that brand with your head high and you are in full compliance. You do what you're supposed to do and you treat people how you want to be treated. But you have flight attendants who don't realize you need to get in the aisle and collect trash, okay, and wear gloves while you do it. But you got people who don't realize that, like, at the end of the day, you have a lot of needy passengers on board. What I mean by that is, needy is not always necessarily a bad thing. It's all about your perception. It's all about how you view it. You may have the mom who needs some assistance, right? She may need you to help her with the child or the stroller or whatever, or the elderly passenger or the disabled passenger, or the passenger who needs to take their medicine, or the person who needs orange juice because their sugar's dropping, apple juice, whatever it is. All I'm saying is, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you don't have the heart, if you're not giving, if you somehow slid by at the interview and just got your CJO, and you kind of put on a show, or you read a bunch of things on Indeed and Flight Attendant Career Connection, and you watched so many flight attendant YouTube videos that you picked up on what to say and how to do it, when you get there, you realize that the two don't mesh. It's actually not for you. It's not what you expected. You expected a chocolate cake. Well, honey, when you cut the cake, you saw that it was a rainbow of craziness inside. So all I'm saying is, it's just not what people expect, so they quit. The reality is, you don't know what to expect. The reality is, you don't know what to expect. You hope that a YouTube video tells you. You hope that these forums give you the tea. You hope that training sets you up for success. But when you graduate and you get on the line, you see that it's something completely different. Maybe like not 100% different, but there are a lot of differences, and you have to really go with the flow. You have to be flexible. Like, when they ask you if you were flexible, they mean it. Like, they really mean it. And you also see that it's hard to get days off. You just missed the birthday. You ain't about to be around for no holidays. And if you get one off in the beginning, you're very, very lucky, because there was just something that happened with your schedule where it kind of forced that day off, or they needed to give that day off to you. They needed to give you off Christmas because now they're about to schedule you for the new year. You're gonna be working the new year, bringing it in Oklahoma with your crew that doesn't want to go out. So this is not what you expected. This is not what they expected. So they quit. But for those of you who are embarking on this new journey, I want you to realize that everything in life may not be what you expect. You can't knock it till you try it. If it's something that you want to do, you don't let anything or anyone get in the way of it. But just know that this happens with anything. So people are out there quitting their flight attendant jobs because it's not what they expected. So they go try something new, and then that's not what you expected. So now what? You wish you never quit your flight attendant job, right? Again, if it comes down to your mental health, I want you to know, by all means, take care of yourself. But if it's a first world problem that can be, you know, worked out, if there's things that you can do to make it work and make it last, do it. You know, for me, it's been a very beautiful journey. I really appreciate the company that I work for. I'm so grateful for that day in October 2014 when I went to my face-to-face, and the people who interviewed me, they were lovely. They saw something in me that at the time, I don't know if I saw it in myself, because I didn't grow up wanting to be a flight attendant. It just happened. It literally just happened. And it wasn't because I wanted to travel. I was already traveling. It wasn't any of those things. I mean, it just happened. This is where God took me. This is the work that he has me doing for the amount of time that he has me doing it. So that is my mentality. That is how I view things. And I just want you guys to know, people are quitting because it's not what they expect. But just know that even if you get into a relationship with someone, it's all good in the beginning, right? It's all lovey-dovey, right? And then you guys hit like a little bumpy road, okay? Well, this is not what I expected. I expected a completely new paved road, and now we're on a bumpy road. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna quit? No. If it's something that you enjoyed at one point and you can see yourself working it out, see it getting better, you see tunnel vision, okay, well, I talked to this senior mama and she's at 10 years and she's at 20 years, or wow, this person's at 5 years, and okay, the time is gonna go by. One thing for sure, it's about to be 2020, then it'll be 2021. One thing for sure is that the clock is not going to stop ticking. So the time will go by. You will talk to many flight attendants and they will tell you, wow, it feels like just yesterday. I have to be honest that it doesn't feel like just yesterday, but it doesn't feel like I've been flying almost 5 years. I've just met some really amazing people, and it's just I'm just really grateful. That's just how that's my outlook, and that's just what it is. So again, it's not what they expected, but just know that just program yourself and do the things necessary. Maybe get a therapist, right? Let's not frown on therapy. I actually just found a therapist that I'm gonna start seeing, so I'm really excited about that. My fiance encouraged me to go to therapy. So whatever it is that you need to do to continue to build yourself up, do those things. So yeah, so just know that anything is possible. It's all on what you're willing to do and what you're willing to put in. So the sixth reason why people are quitting is because of health issues. So one of my friends who actually put in her 2 weeks notice was told by her doctor that she does not need to fly anymore based on her ears. So that's real. You could want to fly, you could love flying, but if your doctor is like, listen, this job is doing more damage than it is good, then you got to do what you got to do. For me, I would say the one thing that I've recognized with this job in regards to my health, my asthma used to be like under control. It was good before I started working as a flight attendant. I mean, I was born with asthma. I was in an oxygen tent when I was little, but it sounds crazy. Some people are like, what? But yeah, it's reality. But over the years, it's like, your doctor teaches you how to control your asthma. And like growing up, my parents sent me to asthma camp. Yes, it's a thing. It does exist. If your kid has asthma, I don't necessarily know that I would like even send my kid away to a camp these days. I have no kids, but the stories that I hear nowadays, times have changed. But nevertheless, I will say like certain things just will trigger it. The dust, the lack of cleanliness, going into so many hotel rooms. It used to be really bad. Like I actually started looking for hotels that I made a list for myself of like hotels that either A, had no carpet, or B, just were cleaner. Because the hotels in general, no hotel is clean. It may be cleaner than another hotel, but there were certain things that I recognized that trigger an asthma attack. And I will say too that I probably should start wearing compression pantyhose, because I've noticed sometimes my feet hurt and like just above my ankles, like sometimes that hurts. It just depends if my day is really, really long, but I do a lot of one-day trips, so my flights are not very long, and when I come home, I have a whole foot care routine that I do, so there's that. But the reality is this job can really mess with your health, and it's some people who've been healthy all their lives, and then they start flying, and it's like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? So that's the reality. People have to quit because of their health. And the seventh reason, which I mentioned just briefly earlier, is people are quitting because they can't get the days off that they want off. So there are flight attendants who also go to school. I don't necessarily know that I would recommend going to school in the beginning. I guess if you're doing online classes, but if you're trying to actually be there physically for something, I wouldn't recommend that in the beginning, because you got to get the hang of things. You got to get some seniority. And if you're, it just depends on where you are based and the airline that you work for and all. There's a lot of things to factor in. But the reality is that, people aren't able to get off the days that they want. They're missing birthdays and holidays. The other thing is not being able to get off certain days has affected people's relationships. They lose friends. They may lose their partner. Their husband or wife is complaining. Well, of course, in the beginning, they know you go to training, they know you're going to be away, and that's all they can really wrap their head around. They don't know what days you're going to get off or what your schedule is going to be like. So there's a lot of flight attendants who this job has affected their relationship. They're not able to date because they're not in town long enough, to be able to really get to know a person. So it does bother you over time. If you're you know, a person that wants to be in love, you want to be in a relationship, you keep trying and trying, or you're in a relationship and let's say you can't get your anniversary off, or like, let's really call it what it is, like you're planning your wedding and you just got your wings and you're hoping that you can even get the day off for your wedding. I know it sounds bizarre, but it's real. Like, people are not able to get off the days that they want to get off. Your kid is starting school and you want to be there for, you know, the first day of school, and you're like begging for somebody to swap you, but they're a parent as well, or nobody wants to work that day, or you need that weekend off. And we all know, if you're a flight attendant, how hard it can be to get your weekends off. I've been holding weekends off now for a couple of years, so, and I don't typically fly on the weekends. I will, you know, I've helped people out here and there, but that's not my thing because my fiance is a lawyer, so she works Monday through Friday. So when the weekends come around, that's really our time to spend with each other. Of course, we have dinner and we're together at night and so on and so forth, but the weekend we can really like get out and go to brunch, or we can do things around our home, or just go shopping together, or just lay in bed together. Like, we can really just be one on the weekend. So I like to match my schedule with hers as much as I can. And again, being based here in New York City and living in New York City, it's so easy for me. I have 3 airports that I can choose from. If there's no trips out of LaGuardia, I can go to JFK, or I can go to Newark, which I'm not going to Newark. But, you know, I used to go to Newark when we had Paris, and I used to fly to Paris in the beginning when, you know, I was like a new hire and like super happy and whatever to fly. But long story short, y'all, that is why people are quitting. All right, you guys, well, my camera battery is saying, girl, it's time to go. So in the meantime, in between time until you guys see me again, make sure you continue to stay beautiful from the inside to the out. Let your light shine. Let nothing or no one stop you from growing, glowing, and doing your research on becoming a flight attendant. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.